Hi, Danville, and welcome. Alan Schiltz here, Chief of Police, and we are 10-8 and in service to all of you, which means we're here to make people's lives better by safeguarding the lives, rights, and property of everyone we serve. Okay, well, yesterday was interesting. This is a Thursday. Usually this show is done every Wednesday at 5 o'clock. So if you want to send this to your friends, you can go and forward it in your timeline. You can like it right now, and it'll go to them. But it reminded me, as I was, for probably about 30 or 40 minutes, I was frustrated, and I was really trying to get this system to work. And I tried every kind of reboot, multiple computers, couldn't get it to work. Ultimately, it ended up being an issue with the integration on our software side that's in the cloud. So it was kind of outside of this room. But what it reminded me of is life doesn't always hand us the smoothest waters and the calmest seas. And so it reminded me that why, and this is linking right back to Danville, but it reminded me why I like and love living and working in Danville so much. And that's because this is an area where when life hands this community some adversity, this community always steps up and shows its resiliency and its patience and its grace and its forgiveness and just moves forward. And really, at the start of every show, you hear me say we're here to make people's lives better. And that isn't just a mission statement for those that are staff at Danville, but I believe that's for everyone that lives, plays, works in Danville as well. So I appreciate everyone joining. We're going to go and we're going to cover our show today. We're going to talk about the crime that's happened, and there was an interesting one that I think has a good warning of caution to it. We're going to talk about emergency preparedness. So this is going to be week 1 for emergency preparedness, and then we're also going to roll right into our final thought, which is going to be on our social host ordinance. And so if you've never heard of our social host ordinance, I'd ask you to kind of join us on that because that's a very important one and timely this time of year. All right. So first off, if you're looking for opportunities to join us, you can come see us live. We'll be April 29th. We'll be down at Christy's Donuts. That's at 436 Diablo Road. And we'll be there from 9 to 10. 9 to 10. And that's a good opportunity to come out and say hi and see how we're doing and offer criticism. The reason we're here on Facebook, the reason we go out to Christy's Donuts and all of these other areas throughout town to try to engage and try to reach all of you is because we want feedback on what we can do better. How can we better serve this community? Law enforcement, and this started well before I was an officer, law enforcement is a career of continuous improvement. We're always looking for ways that we can do things better. We always want to serve the community in the best possible way that we can. This is your opportunity to help us to that end. With that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them live in the chat. There was a question on some of our, I think it was Laurel, I believe you're the one that asked the questions in our chat yesterday. And you asked about what was happening at Revel. And I think there was something around the Find area as well. And I did a check over the last few days, and there was a disturbing the peace. There was kind of a road rage incident near the Find, so out in the roadway. And then there was some, I think, a found property. And someone actually asked us to move our car on Harts Avenue. It looked like the way we had placed it was that it was taking up 2 spots. And so you can imagine with parking being so impacted in our downtown area, we want to make sure that we, the police, certainly aren't taking up too many spots. So we're appreciative to get that call. But Laurel, if you can put a finer point on that, maybe give me the date and time, I'd be happy to look it up, and I'll answer it later in the chat when I have a chance to look it up. And that's really for any question. If you have concerns or if there was an incident that you have questions on, if you just tell me the date and time that it happened, I'd be happy to let you know. And if you've ever wondered what to do with unused medication, we're going to have a drug take-back day this April 30th, 10 to 2, so 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It'll be at the Danville Town Offices. We actually make it really easy. It's like a drive-through. You just go up in our upper parking lot, come in, have your medication, your unused medication in a plastic bag. We'll take it from you. We'll put it in, and we collect, I think last time it was well over 100 pounds of unused medication. So we end up collecting a lot. But if you're not able to make it to that, anytime our front office is open, so that's Monday through Friday, you can come down during business hours with your medication, and we've got bins right in our lobby, and you can drop the unused medication off in there. And you can also drop off your syringes. What we ask for on your syringes is put it in some sort of a plastic container or metal container that will keep the needles safe so that they won't poke out. No plastic bags for the needles. Make sure they're in a durable container. All right, and kind of on Laurel's question from earlier, if you have questions about what is happening in a certain area, you can always look them up on communitycrimeapp.com. That's where we post all of our calls for service except for some of our sexual assault and family-related crimes. There are some that we withhold, but for the most part, you're going to catch all of our calls for service out there. So let's look at what happened last week. April 4th through the 10th, and that slide's off. Okay, so it's not April 4th through 10, it's 11 through 17. We did have one burglary, 2 thefts, and a vehicle theft that was actually related to the burglary. Then we had 1 injury, 2 property collisions, and then 1 hit and run. On April 12th, kind of a funny one, there were 2 facilities in town, 2 separate facilities where COVID signs that were warning people to wear masks and do those things were taken. And so that report came in. That is something we investigate, and it is a theft. So if we were to find the person that did it, we would hold them responsible. On the 14th, there was a theft of merchandise from Marshall's, but it was actually a late report. It occurred on April 9th. And on the 16th, this is the double. On the 16th, there were car keys that were taken from inside a home on Enterprise Drive, and then the person actually took the keys from inside the home, hopped in the car in the driveway, and out they went. And here's kind of my crime tip, and here's what I'll say is my car keys, we've got a few cars in the house, and what I do is I have a little safe in my closet, and I make sure that they're all locked up and in there, and that way they're not just sitting out on a counter, because I do know that this is not unusual. We should be able to leave things out, but it's very often that we get when car keys are found either in the car or during the burglary of the home, that we'll see that a car is taken as well. And so we say just lock them up, keep them out of sight, do what you can do there. All right, so on the 13th, we had a hit and run where one of the passengers in the car that caused the collision sustained minor injuries, and that was at Camino Ramon and Baldwin. And here's the cautionary tale. We did arrest that driver. We found him nearby, ended up arresting him, and took him to jail. That's a serious crime. That is a felony. If you are involved in a collision, and so long as it's safe to do so, you are supposed to stop, wait, and exchange information with the property owner or the other driver. If it's unsafe, then you're supposed to, if there's like some sort of act of God or nature that's occurring, by all means, don't stand there while the roads are flooding. But if you're involved in a collision, a reasonable time after, you're supposed to call the police and make that report so that we can connect the 2 drivers of the 2 property owners. But this young man went to jail solely for hit and run, one where he hurt one of the people that was inside of his car. Completely unnecessary. Had he stayed on scene, he would not have been the suspect of a crime. He would not have been arrested, would not have gone to jail. So we would say don't do that. On the heels of that, we do have a very special program, and I'm publicizing this because I want you all to be aware that it's happening. So if you see things happening in town next week, you'll know that it's related to this. But we do have every 15 minutes coming Tuesday, April 26th, and that's next Tuesday, and it's going to be at San Ramon Valley High. And the picture you're looking at is stands of San Ramon Valley High several years ago. We do a mock vehicle collision, and I have to be honest with you, Janet and her team over at San Ramon Valley High do a phenomenal job of putting this on. They invite Danville Police, CHP. We have our coroner's office come down. We have deputies from the sheriff's office coming down. So there's a lot of people that come down. We've got some of our chaplains that'll come down, and it's a fully featured event. And what we try to do is try to, in a dramatic fashion, show what happens during a collision and what happens when someone is driving under the influence. And I want to throw this back up there. Look at the crowd. And I know it's grayed out a little bit, but if you look at the crowd, those students are just absolutely riveted. And if you've ever gone to an assembly and you've looked, kids are talking to each other and doing stuff. If you go to this every 15 minutes, they are glued to the event. It is a phenomenal event. It's certainly impactful. Every time I see it, it's impactful. But the reason we're talking about it on the show tonight is we are going to have, as we have in all years, we have a CalStar helicopter that'll come down and it'll land near the field. And so you're going to see a helicopter come down. We'll throw something out on Facebook so that you're aware the day before, but don't be surprised. It's just going to be a training event, and it's for a good cause. All right, so that covers our blotter, that covers the medication. Before we get to final thought, let me cover one thing real quick, and I want to see if there's any. I've got nothing in the chat. Perfect. All right, we're going to move on. This is week 1, and we're going to go several weeks on emergency preparedness. And I believe the first thing that I want you to take away is how can you stay connected? How will you know that an emergency is happening? And I put together a short little video, and I'll narrate over the top of it. But in this video, you're going to see 2 systems. The first one is going to be the Sheriff's Community Warning System. The second is going to be Nixle. And I've got links for both of them in the description below. So at the end of this video, all you have to do is go down in the description, click it. It'll take you less than 2 minutes to sign up for both. And then that way you're covered. If there is an incident in town that you need to be aware of, a road closure because of a car accident that's going to take a significant amount of time, so something from a fairly minor event like that to a disaster response, those are the channels that we're going to use to put information out. So I'm going to show you how to sign up, and then in following weeks I'm going to show you how those information channels are used, and then we'll start covering how to prepare your home, your car, your family should a disaster occur. So we're going to cover a lot of information in the coming weeks, but let's check out this video. All right, so this is the community warning system, and this is the sheriff's website, and all you have to do is click. There's a very easy template to fill out. You just put your first and last name in there. Your username is going to be your email, so just plug your email in and then select to use your email as your ID. And then you can put in any password and it'll bring you to the community warning system page. And the reason I wanted to show this part is you can see that there are lots of options here. You can put a primary address, and so you'll see here I'll put the police department's address in. And if you wanted to, you can drop down and you can add 2 more addresses. So if you have a home over in Blackhawk, but you have a business down on Diablo Road, you can put both in there, and we would encourage you to do that because we localize our warnings. So if there's an incident occurring downtown and you live in Blackhawk, you might not get the alert for the downtown event. Vice versa, if you're in Blackhawk and it's up there, you might not get it there as well. And then we want you to choose the communication methods that you would like to use to receive information. So we'd ask you to put in your cell phone, put in your home phone if you have one, and those will be the channels that we will reach out to contact you. Once you put it in there, all you have to do is submit. And there's some added features. So if you were here last year when we covered this, there are some added features to this where, there's the opt-out button. So if you already have an account and you don't want to receive these alerts, you can opt out, but you can also select some of our hazard areas, our refineries and such. And once you submit it, the information will go and you will be loaded into the database. And should there be a significant event, we will use our community warning system to alert you for that event. All right, and we do have another system, it's called Nixle. And so you can go to the website, but I will show you an easier way to do it as well. If you're a new user, drop down to the bottom and click the add a new user. If you're existing, you can enter your information, but it will look the same. And you can see that once you're subscribed, you will get alerts from multiple agencies in a geographical area. And you can select a lot of different areas. You're not tied to just one area. For example, for me, if we're looking at the screen here, this is one of our recent alerts where there was a road closure or a power outage, and Nicola, our PIO, will throw a map up of the affected area and give you information on how you can get updates. You can see we had a missing person that we posted on Nixle. And what you can do is you can select multiple zip codes. And so I've got zip codes in here for Danville. I've got them for San Ramon. I've got them for Walnut Creek, Pleasanton. Anywhere that I either have family members or work or any of those things would be a good place to put a Nixle in there. And then you can adjust how Nixle will send you updates as well. In the settings, you can see that for each zip code, now this is a little unique, for each zip code, you can select how you would like to receive alerts. Some people don't want every alert. For me, for Danville and San Ramon, I choose to get every alert that can be sent out. But in the other communities, I really just want the emergencies, so I will push that down to only receive the highest of the 2 alerts and not the community alert. I don't want to receive the community alerts. And so you can make those adjustments right there from the menu. And if you wanted to add a new one, it's actually pretty simple. You can just go to the Add New button and click that on, and then enter a new zip code, and that'll allow you to get information from that area as well. Okay, so one final way, and this is the easiest way to sign up for alerts. You can take your cell phone and you send a text message to 888-777, 888-777, and that is how you can get information directly to your cell phone. All you have to do is type your zip code in there. So in this example, you can see I'm typing the zip code for Diablo in there. And once I click it in, it will give me an auto-generated response letting me know that I am signed up. And what that'll do is that will give me those top 2-tier alerts right to my cell phone should something happen. So right now, what I'd ask you to do is, as soon as this is over, we're going to cover the social host ordinance. As soon as it's over, if you have not signed up for one of those 2, I would encourage you, please do. If there's a major incident in town, if we close a road, if we're looking for someone, we're going to put that information out over those, well, at least over Nixle. If it's a very significant event, that's when we'll typically move on and go to CWS, the community warning system, as well. All right, I want to see if there's any questions in the chat. I don't see any. All right, let's move on. So social host ordinance, let's see what that looks like. Social host ordinance, well, let me talk about it first. If you're under 21, it is illegal to drink alcohol. If you are a host, so if you are the homeowner or if you're in control of a property, so in other words, it doesn't have to be the parents. It could be your son or your daughter as well. If they host an event, a party, a gathering, whatever you want to call it, if you have people over at your house and 5 or more are drinking alcohol or smoking marijuana, if they're being served on the premises, then that is a violation of our social host ordinance. And it is there. This is something that's been in place for a long time. We updated it recently, I think a few years ago, to make sure that we covered marijuana as well. But it is there to protect the kids in the community. That's it. We don't want to see kids drinking alcohol, doing drugs, getting in cars and leaving and getting in accidents and having a tragedy that you can't undo. And so we will enforce the social host ordinance. This is something that we have done in the past, and here is what it looks like. If you're an adult, it is a misdemeanor, and you could be fined up to $1,000 and spend 6 months in jail. If you're a minor, we refer minors to our juvenile diversion program with the Danville Police. And what that's designed to do is we realize that our younger population may have a better chance of rehabilitating through education and work. And so we try to keep them from the justice system, but you can guarantee if you're an adult and you throw one of these parties and we see it, we observe it, we will be giving you a ticket. There's zero tolerance on that. What do we recommend to go along with this? Keep medicine, alcohol, and marijuana up and out of reach. And then here's the thing I would suggest is let's try to hold each other accountable. Let's not wait for it to become an issue where we're now calling the police. Tell your friends about this, please. Let them know. Let them know that the Danville Police Department, if we get called or we discover this, we will come out and we will issue citations. I think there's this thought that we don't. We have in the past. People are shocked when we give it to them. So please let your friends and neighbors know, like, hey, this is something that is taken serious in town. We don't want a tragedy. Certainly not, not due to the drugs or alcohol. Not something that is 100% preventable. All right. Well, that looks like that's our show for tonight. I appreciate everyone joining, and sorry for the delay, but I appreciate seeing all of you. All right. We are 1010, but we're always 10-8 in service to all of you. Have a good night. Bye, Danville.